Hello there, everybody, and welcome to today's LinkedIn Live with Virtual Space Hero. I'm happy to welcome you from 3 different platforms today. So we are having participants and viewers from YouTube, Facebook, and of course here from LinkedIn. Welcome, everybody, and thanks a lot for coming to this different hour. You know that usually we're doing the live streams Friday afternoons, but today we changed a little bit. We have an engaging topic, crazy topic that I've been looking into as a researcher quite for many years, and organizations are struggling with the topic for decades already. What is it about? It is silo thinking. So I've been researching new ways of working for many years, and one aspect that we always look into as researchers when it comes to traditional organizations and our newer ways of working, newer organizational structures, for example, is that we can see, for example, that hierarchies is an issue in organizations that sometimes even enable silos. So today we're going to talk about silos and silo thinking organization, because we know that a silo mentality is a reluctance to share information with other employees, for example, of different divisions in the same company. And of course, what happens is this is sort of an attitude that we see it as reducing the organization's efficiency. There is no collaboration among different divisions, even in the same department sometimes, and at worst, the contribution damages the corporate culture. So particularly now, as we are working remotely, silos might be even more pronounced. And at Virtual Space Hero, all our LinkedIn lives are about the virtual space. So if you have not been subscribed yet to our newsletter, do so. Go to our webpage, become a hero of the virtual space, stay updated, and subscribe on the webpage barbaracv.com to our newsletter, and you are being informed about all the upcoming LinkedIn Lives. We had amazing discussions the past weeks about remote training, remote working, about remote leadership. And today, I'm really happy to have with me Christoph Drebes, and I'm opening immediately the doors for him. He's the founder and director of Mysteryminds. Hi, Christoph.
Hi, Barbara. Nice to meet you.
Hey there. Thank you so much for agreeing to join me in the LinkedIn Live show with Virtual Space Hero. We have been in touch for already a few years. We have done students' projects together. At this point, to my Fachhochschule Kenton students, that we're doing a really pretty and an international marketing strategy, market analysis for Mysteryminds. Last year, a big thank you again. It was a tremendous project that you did.
Yeah, thanks a lot to you as well. We got really good results from the students and are still benefiting from the analysis that you did last year.
That is really crazy. It's really cool because this year I already started my call for project partners. I was overwhelmed by the interest, and I have super cool project partners joining me this year from South Africa, from Argentina, from Asia. It's crazy, a very diverse company portfolio. But Christoph, today we're talking about silos and we're talking about mystery coffees. But we're going to reveal now what that is, because everybody's like, what's the mystery mind? What's a mystery coffee? So maybe you want to give us a little bit of background about yourself and about Mysteryminds. Love to hear that.
Cool. So yeah, thanks a lot for having me here. As mentioned, I'm Christoph. I'm a founder of Mysteryminds. I started to work after university in a large telecommunication company in Germany. And we found out that when you work in a big company, you have those silos. So you're working in your small division and you don't know what other divisions are doing. You don't really know what's the overall picture. It's very difficult to get information, to get the right contact person, to get decisions. And it's kind of feeling slow, that you can't move forward, you can't tackle projects, you can't implement new ideas. And that's why, we thought, what can we do to improve that? And we started 6 years ago already with a tool which was called Mystery Lunch, where we randomly connected employees for a lunch break. And we mixed somebody from IT with somebody from marketing, and they suddenly spoke for a lunch break, and we got really positive feedback and really positive results. And that led to more and more personal connections in companies. And then we started to see, okay, when we bring together people randomly, we can also bring together people with more intent, and for specific programs like for mentoring or job shadowing. And that's how we developed Mysteryminds 3 years ago. And now, right now, during the pandemic, it's very interesting that the personal connections that we want to bring in the digital world are still very important. And it's very difficult now when we are speaking face to face, but virtually. But it's still very important to have those informal connections. And that's why we developed the Mystery Coffee in a more virtual way. So you can now sign up on mysterycoffee.com for a virtual exchange with somebody in your company or with a complete stranger around the globe, and have a virtual connection, which is just an informal chat about your life, or about some personal things, about professional things, to have those serendipity talks and those like coffee break talks or elevator talks with somebody you don't know.
That's super cool. Let me go one super big step back. You know what I'm going to show you now, because I was doing a little bit of creative work in the meantime. What are silos? Because maybe those of us, and I'm not saying the youngest of us, but maybe those of us who grew up in the city and have never seen those sort of constructions in the countryside where you usually see it, they are, well, or wooden or metallic or whatever kind of material. And usually silos are used to store mill or whatever kind of grain. And so you see them in the countryside, and what happens, and that's clear here, in the organizational context, we describe sometimes silo it. So now I got it. Silos as being department A, department B, department C. So there's sometimes just no connections between the different departments. So good.
And the cool
Creativity check done.
No, but very good. You saw that on your photos as well. You didn't have any windows in your image, so there are no windows in silos, so there's no entrance, so they're really separated. And also the grains in each silo are very different. So you have different kind of grains, and you don't want to mingle them. So that's also very important. And another parallel to the business world is as well the entrance of silos. So you can only add new grains from the top, and it's going very slow to the down. And that's some similar also to the information flow in organizations. So the image is like a really good image to show the situation in many large organizations.
That's fantastic, because this metaphor brings me also to there are several challenges, as you were saying. One is top-down communication or top-down management, top-down decision-making. The other thing is no exchange. And what you were saying is we have always the same grains in a silo. So this is also probably how this topic connects very much to diversity. How do you see the connection between silos, diversity, and your organization?
That's actually a very, very important point for companies. And we notice that many companies now are working on diversity. They have diversity projects, they have diversity days. So there's a lot of movement going on, because in those silos, in your division, you have the same, with the time, you start as a hire, you start in your company, but then you get like the thinking and the thoughts and the models, the thinking models, the mental model, the conceptual models from your division, like from the people you spend day to day with it. And then this is how you develop, the IT department, they are like this, and they are not us. And you develop like this feeling of us and the others. And that's actually a very important point, because when you think the same way and you have always the same people who are thinking the same way, this is really bad for innovation. You also need critical voices, you need new perspective, you need other angles. And that's very difficult when there's no exchange. So I believe personally, you need a lot of personal exchange in those silos, and you need to see how others are thinking, and also understand that there's no one truth, there are different truths and different angles, how you can tackle problems. And that's, I think, a very important point to improve those diversities. There's a wonderful book which is called The Diversity Bonus, which is actually calculating a mathematical model to show the benefits of bringing together different conceptual models and bringing together people with different backgrounds, cultural backgrounds, university backgrounds. The more diverse the team is, the better and the more ideas you get out, and the easier it is to solve problems for your team.
That sounds super interesting. Maybe, Christoph, it would be fantastic for our participants and viewers later on. One of the things that we're going to do is we share the links that we talk about for books or web pages. We're going to share them with you in the comments below this live stream. Let me pick up on one question. Benjamin Tarman already asked a question. Thanks a lot, Benjamin. He's asking, I do think the virtual lunch coffee meetings are a very nice idea. How would you apply this concept to a globally distributed organization? Maybe, Christoph, can I ask you first to explain a little bit more in detail how are you doing that? Do you manually assign people to go for lunch or for a coffee together? How is that working? And then also address, please, Benjamin's questions. And at this point, to everybody out there, thanks a lot, Benjamin, for the first question. Everybody out there, I see people from Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Please comment, ask your questions, comment in the chat window, and we are happy to answer and pick up on your questions or critical comments if you don't think the same way.
Cool. Thanks a lot for the question, Benjamin. So this is exactly a perfect question because we're doing that right now, like every day for globally distributed organizations. First of all, the lunch or coffee concept is pretty easy. You go to a website and sign up. We are building those websites for companies. So we have a website in a corporate design with special variables, with special locations, time zones, languages, like all the criteria that are important for matching. And then, well, employees sign up and we match them automatically in groups of 2, 3, or 4 and send out emails and schedule the mystery coffee or the mystery lunch. Right now, for running that for a globally organization, what's very important is, first of all, the aspect of languages. So there are still organizations in some countries where not everybody speaks English. So you can adjust that you need a certain language that you feel comfortable in speaking to. We would ask for this variable. Then it's very important where you're based, because even in the office space, we have some connections, like some locations globally that just can't speak with each other because they're not in the office or not at home at the same time, because when they're sleeping, the others are awake and the other way around. So there's some logic on the time zones on there. And then it's very easy to apply the concept in an organization. We build your website. We do internal communication with your colleagues. They sign up, and then we match them every week or every 2 weeks. They get the email, they get an invite in their Outlook calendar, and they even get some information about the other person and icebreaker questions to make a nice conversation start. And not being, there's still people, it's difficult when you meet somebody virtually the first time. So it's very important to have like some guidance and some icebreakers to get the conversation started.
Yeah, absolutely. And what is your, thanks a lot, Benjamin. And I'm getting a message that apparently on YouTube, the comments are not working. So if there's any chance to join us here on LinkedIn, or you send me through whatever channel you're connected with me, your questions, I pick them up and integrate them here into the discussion, please. And I'm coming back to your mystery coffee now. So it's fun because you also mentioned, and I remember we were talking about that last year, that, for example, mystery lunch, it's something that that works in particular cultures, while not in every culture. And mystery coffee is something that also picked up a little bit on that. I'm not sure if you remember the conversation we had. And at this point also, Benjamin is saying, thanks a lot, that makes sense. So great, Benjamin, thanks a lot. Christoph, the question, mystery lunch, mystery coffee, are the cultural differences, how it gets adopted?
Yeah, for the I'm not sure where you're all from where all the listeners are coming from. Maybe feel free to send that in the contact so we can grab on that, and then we can ask questions. So where are you from? That's very interesting. I'm German. I started to work in a German company, and in Germany, people are crazy about lunch breaks. So they send Outlook invitations for having a lunch break 2 weeks in advance. And this aspect of networking at lunch is, I think, very special to the Central European area. Like we saw that in France as well, in Spain, not so much, but especially Germany, Netherlands, and those countries. And that's why we started with lunch. We noticed fast that in the UK, for example, in London, if you've ever worked in London or lived there, you commute so much time to work, so you don't want to have a huge lunch break. So you have a 15-minute, 20-minute sandwich in front of your computer. On the other hand, you have Spain, where you have a lunch break of 2 hours, basically, which is very different. So it always depends on a little bit on the culture. And we noted that the coffee works well for the US, for the UK. to network people. We also noted that people in Latin America, for example, they don't really have this problem of silos because they speak very much with each other. And we spoke to managers. They were actually saying they would love a tool that they speak less to each other because there's so much communication between people. So it always depends on the cultural context. Right now, for the virtual thing, I think coffee is the best because, well, the lunch just doesn't, like, it does work virtually, but it's not like the most nice picture to have somebody having like lunch in front of a computer. Coffee is still
Totally
pretty
agree.
easy, so that's why for the virtual stuff we're using coffee. But it's very
That's
interesting in a culture point of view. And if there's anyone from another culture, feel free to comment or to ask a question around that, and share your experience.
Yeah, let us know where you're connecting from, because maybe also Christoph and Mysteryminds, they have already experienced in your country or where you are currently located in. So we see here Khadija is just commenting, she's tuning in from Vienna, so similar to Germany. That's what she's saying. Thanks a lot, Khadija. And I totally understand that, yes, Austria, it's very similar. We are planning our lunch breaks like weeks in advance, which was something that would never work in a country where I'm based in, like Spain, for example, now. Thank you so much. Christoph, so if we think about the journey, so you developed much more now as well, the Mystery Coffee as a platform for people to connect with other people from other companies. How is that going? Can you let us know a little bit more about that?
Yeah, when we started, maybe you can also share the link after in the notes or even the chat on mysterycoffee.com. You can sign up and we try to match you with somebody from your organization. But it's also possible to meet people from different organizations. And that's very interesting, actually, because we get really good feedback when you meet somebody who's not working in your company, but in a different company. That could be amazing. Got feedback from somebody working for Audi, and he got matched with somebody from Mercedes in Germany, and they had different, like, similar topics to speak about. So there are always interesting conversations, and there's always something that is happening which you couldn't plan in before. So this is this concept of serendipity, that you find something you were not looking for. And that's very interesting, actually, to have those kind of serendipity conversations, to get new thoughts, to get new ideas. There are many examples in the past that large innovations were found by chance. Yesterday, I learned that Google, the two co-founders of Google, they met actually at a campus tour in Stanford. So there was one already studying there and the other was joining, and then he was showing him around. And that's how the contact was made, by chance. And right now, those tours don't take place. Right now, those conversations in the elevator or in the coffee kitchen don't take place. So there are many chances that are not, maybe it's a bit too extreme to say that the next Google is not founded because of the pandemic, but with tools like Mystery Coffee, you still have the chance to meet new people and to have those random and serendipity conversations. So
Absolutely.
it's always very, very positive and unexpected. So there are always some magic moments that you can't plan otherwise.
Yeah. Thanks so much. So we see here Benjamin is also mentioning that he's connecting from Vienna, but working with 30 different countries. So many variations on silo thinking. We totally get it, because the moment that we move into another cultural context, also hierarchical structures might change a lot, of course. And I love the concept of Mystery Coffee, that you have it also now as an open concept. I think you really started running that during the pandemic to create connection among people from different companies, different backgrounds, right?
Yes, exactly. Like we saw it for the pandemic, especially in the first weeks when everybody was sent to work from home. You notice there are these things also on social distancing, and then also on loneliness, when there are people who couldn't, literally in March, April, it was impossible to speak to new people. And that's why we thought, okay, let's open this platform for everyone and let's connect people from different companies. And now with the benefits we experienced and with the positive thoughts, we're even thinking about doing some focused matchmaking tools or some focused matchmaking between companies on specific problems, like on agile thinking or on some special new programming languages or other problems, to bring together the right people from different companies.
Yeah, cool. You know, that was one of the next questions I had asked you because I work a lot with virtual event platforms, and there is one platform that I was really impressed of when I was working with them. It's Pathable. And what Pathable, for example, is doing, it's a bit of a higher price platform, but it's a very well structured platform. And what they are doing is they are giving the possibility that you, as a virtual event participant, fill out your profile and with your interests, with your position, with whatever different questions they are asking you. And then the system matches with an algorithm who you should connect with. And they even, no clue how they calculate it, but they're even able to say who is the most likely to want to connect with you or really to connect back. No clue how they are doing that. But anyways, the question would be, you at Mysteryminds or Mystery Coffee, Mystery Lunch, do you also have the possibility to use certain variables to match people with? How is that working?
Yes, absolutely. So we do. It's tricky to get like this whole AI deep data analysis. But what we're doing is we're asking criteria in the registration forms, for example, languages, hierarchy level, interests, your what you're looking for, what is actually your current challenge. So we're asking those variables and then match people based on those. That's getting more profound for mentoring or job shadowing. That you can say for job shadowing, for example, I want to see an IT division and I want to see a specific architecture division, and then you get matched to somebody, to a host in those division, and it really depends on what you need. And we're trying to find the best match for you. Internally for the algorithm, it's not AI. Also, it sounds very cool, but it's just an algorithm. But we have happiness points and we have systems that we're trying to optimize all matches. So we can't say it's the perfect match, but we're suggesting it's a pretty, it should be a really positive match based on the criteria you put in. It's always a balance, and you have to find the balance. How much criteria do you want to ask? Like if you have large profiles that ask 100 of questions with psychological profiles, that helps you a lot to get like a right match, but it's also very time consuming. So we are still going toward the direction to make it easy but useful. So ask 5 to 10 questions and have some profile, but not a very deep profile. And then based on this simpler process where you can sign up in 30 seconds, 40 seconds, match you with new people. And then to put the conversation in the on the stage. So the most important thing is having a good conversation and a nice personal conversation, and not all the tool before. So for us, the personal face-to-face communication is the most important thing.
Yeah, you know what? When I heard about that matching algorithm AI that they have in place, I found it like really spectacular. Well, I'm not an IT person or not really coming from with an IT background, so I was like really flashed of what that system can do. Although I like the serendipity. The argument from them was like, well, managers are very busy and important people are very busy, so they need to match make or they need to match effectively. Even though I love the serendipity aspects. And I also will sign up immediately next week for the mystery coffee. I didn't have time now during the summer, but I'm going to do it to have a mystery coffee with somebody else from all over the world. And I think it's also, if we think about that, Mysteryminds, you were on an internationalization course, or you had the idea to internationalize more. You were already working in many, many different countries. So how did the pandemic affect your business, affect positively or negatively your business?
Well, the biggest impact was we had 60, 70% of our customers were using Mystery Lunch and having those lunch breaks. And that obviously was affected massively by the pandemic, because people are not going to the canteen anymore. It's even not good to meet new people at the canteen and have lunch together. So that was the biggest impact, that we have to change to the virtual tools and the virtual communication. So that was a massive impact. And then the second impact is obviously there are business models that are affected a lot from the pandemic. And we are noticing that it's difficult to do business with a company who is, in the worst case, firing 50% of its employees. So this is tricky. But on the other hand of side, we also see this massive need to connect your people. And there are companies now in Germany like O2 or Allianz who are announcing that they will work remotely basically forever. So it could be that they are not coming back to the office like before. There are many companies who are quitting office places. and then we need those informal communications. So we need conversations. So companies like that should need tools to bring together their employees, because we're missing out on this serendipity. We're missing out on conversations, on learning, on informal learning. Studies are showing 70% of the information employees are getting from their company is through informal channels. It's not internet, it's not an online course, it's not a learning and development program. It's just by informal conversations. And if those don't take place anymore, that's a huge impact for companies. And right now it's still working after 6 months. But if we think about the next 2 years or 3 years, and if we don't go back to the offices, this will have massive impacts on company culture. This will erode basically our company culture. And then we have to think of how do we combine virtual and real work, and how can we connect people more. And I personally believe it's nice to have all these possibilities, to have now virtual conferences, have virtual meetings, but we have to go back to the offices for creative work, for just for personal meeting, knowing somebody personal. It's really important also to have friends at work, to know the personal these personal connections. And if this doesn't exist anymore, that will be massive. So it's very interesting times right now, and let's see how that continues.
Absolutely. And I'm also a total fan of the virtual space. So my slogan is become a hero of the virtual space in all the different areas that we can think about. So also another call out to you there. Let us know your experiences. How did it go with you connecting with your colleagues, or with your student colleagues, for example, during a degree program? How did that go? And of course, to create these meaningful connections, I also believe it's super important to do that in a structured way, using a tool as Mystery Coffee, for example, or Mysteryminds tools, because we see that global virtual teams, they are lacking that serendipity to meet in the copy near the copy machine or the coffee machine, for example. So let me pick up here, because you were also mentioning companies will stay remotely. Many companies are having a lot of troubles. They are downsizing or they are merging. And I'll pick up on another question here from Benjamin. Well, let's, I don't know what is happening with my video. It should be adapting. I'll check that later. So Benjamin is asking, I've been working a lot with post-merger and acquisition integration issues, trying to break down the silo walls between the new daughter company and parent company. Even after a considerable amount of time, there is still some of us versus some of them mentality. What do you think could be some helpful steps to improve such a situation? Christoph, do you want to pick up on that?
It's can you maybe, if you can, write, are you in the same office, or are you still at different offices, or are you working from home? Because the best solution would be literally to bring the teams together, sit them together, mix them completely, and having them like being like us, and not them versus us, but very, very us. What I can recommend from our point of view is, of course, we have this situation a lot. We have many mergers that we are helping with to create a corporate culture, like one culture, and these cultural projects, and they always have one of our tools in place. And one solution would be really easy to send people to lunch from one company and from the daughter company, and then have a specific focus on bringing together this culture and gapping the culture and having people meeting each other. What I would also recommend, all activities, team building activities, and now we get the answer right, different countries. Yeah, that's extremely complicated if it's even different countries. If it's possible to travel, why not send all employees for 1 week in a year to the other place, and the other way around, so that they create a feeling of we. This is very important. You can use a mystery coffee to bring together, especially one country and the other country, on a weekly basis, working on some challenges, and maybe creating internal also projects where you try to focus on the we and not on the them versus we. What I believe the most important thing is for leadership, and they have to communicate a lot, and even the wording is a lot. So if they are also using them versus us, then it's getting challenging. So I think the leadership and the leaders have to be the example and have to lead, and how they communicate and focus on we, and always using with storytelling, maybe with examples, always focusing every day on we to bring together like the joint company and not the separation. But it's challenging between countries and cultures especially. So I think you also had experiences like that, I imagine, no, Barbara?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to do some self-promotion moment here now because with Virtual Space Hero, we have been organizing a lot of different virtual events. Of course, this year was an explosion of requests from organizations. And we have been organizing, for example, diversity and inclusion weeks. It was an amazing environment, even in the virtual space with whatever tool you want to use. If it's a WebEx meeting, Zoom meeting, if you want to use a different platform, you can create a connection there through using a bar camp or open space style. I did a lot of virtual world cafes, and that worked also pretty well. Maybe an event or an event series like that to create a sense of belonging and to break down the walls of we versus them could help a lot. Because what I remember is, for example, also all the mergers and acquisitions, I was in touch with the HR managers that were doing them in Austria, for example. During my past years as a researcher, they always had like a lot of events to foster the sense of the we. And there are ways and possibilities how to do that. And I think a virtual event or a virtual event can create that sense of team identity or company identity just by creating the spirit, giving them the possibility to talk and exchange. What we sometimes do is if we use World Cafe styles, we are having trained moderators from the company itself or our moderators from Virtual Space Hero. We have the participants float through different tables and discuss different questions. And also we can use whatever, if you use Miro Mural as a collaboration tool to brainstorm and give it a visibility what you're working on. And that really works amazingly. So as a small add-on, yeah.
Maybe as another example, our company is based in Vienna and in Munich. So we also have like these two locations, and we are a small team of 11 now, but we still start to speak with them and us. So it's the same problem that you're mentioning, Benjamin. And what helped us a lot in the last time, we did many, for example, one productivity hack session where we do on a weekly basis, which was just on Wednesday morning, we do a 15 to 20 minute session where somebody is explaining, for example, shortcuts on Windows or PowerPoint shortcuts or some Excel tricks or things like that, just to keep like the team together motivated and to have to exchange and working on the same goal. So the idea that we all work better together, so we can do like some tips and showing tips and helping each other, and that also helps a lot to bring together two countries or two locations.
Mm-hmm. Super great. I love the tip. Very, very, very well said. And Christoph, but let me pick up here also on another project that I know that you started last year, and it was also the sailing boat became a lot of wind this year. I think it is to make it very metaphor here. So you said you're organizing company retreats, correct, for remote companies. How do that connect, or not only for remote companies, but for organizations in general? So how does that connect to Silo? Is there any connection there?
Yeah, I saw like from the work with Mysteryminds, we see that you're in your silos, and when you travel, like when you go to other countries, to other cultures, when you meet new people, when you have new food, when you have like new weather, new transport system, when everything is new, you get new perspectives. And you're getting out of your silo basically, and you go to a new environment, and that's amazing for creativity work. It's amazing for reflection. The best ideas for me personally are coming when I'm traveling. And so we're thinking, how can we help companies to use this power for their employees and to travel and combine travel and work? And this was a pilot I did last year, and we developed a tool, not a tool, like a platform, which is called Columbus 360. So if you Google columbus360.work, you'll find the website, which is basically a program for companies where they can send employees for 2 to 3 months globally to dedicated places in the community and to the link to dedicated places where they can work, so they can do their day-to-day work with IT security, with all the legal framework, with an accommodation. So it's really comfortable for them, and they have a workspace, but it's in a different location. So it's, for example, in Spain or in South America or in Asia, and you live for it sometimes. So it's not only tourism, because I noticed personally, when you travel 3-4 weeks, it's getting boring. So you have to do something. So you can continue to do your work, but you can also travel and have a language class. You can have on the weekend trips. You can take a day off and do like travel and working together. And that's an idea we started last year, and we were very enthusiastic about it. But all companies we were speaking to were telling us, no, actually, people can't work for 2 months outside of the team. It's impossible to work from home so long time. This will never work, and we are not ready yet. And yeah, that was last year. And this year, that changed a little bit. So now companies are a lot more opener for that. So, but this year tourism doesn't work. So now, even if I would love to go to Asia, it's impossible because of the travel restrictions. So let's see how that continues. But I believe in the next 3 to 4 years, when companies are going back to normal, we will have this. All the millennials want to travel. All friends of mine, for example, who are in large companies, they were quitting to be able to travel. And if there's a company who is enabling that you can travel and work at the same time, which is technically absolutely possible nowadays, and with COVID, it's even was proof that the productivity even is increasing for those people. I think there's a large market and there's a large possibility to improve work as a whole, and also the concept to work more virtual from around the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I also believe that particularly now organizations really need to think about what they should do in order to maintain the people emotionally together, to create that connectedness at a distance. Even though I know it's overused, connected at a distance, but still it is the point. And whether it is through mystery coffees or other mystery meetings that you have, you can also, for example, consider when travel restrictions are not there anymore to have a Columbus 360 workation, whatever it is. And we do know that global startups that are very often virtually working. So, for example, a friend of mine, he's the owner of a San Francisco-based global startup. It's U-Noodle. And Torsten, for example, he meets with his team. It's like 15 people based all over the world. They meet once a year in a very similar context. So I'm definitely going to forward your contact as well to Torsten, Christoph. I think that might be interesting for him.
Amazing.
And I see here Benjamin was saying, but I know it happened a few minutes ago. Benjamin was saying, I fully endorse this. We do something similar for our global TA organization, monthly meetings, presentations to share updates, best practices. I think that was responding to your comment of how we can foster that post-merger in a company. So fantastic. Thanks a lot for sharing, Benjamin, again. And everybody out there, so it's 11:37. We're having 42 minutes of knowledge bite. We're going to be here only for the next 5 minutes. So take the time and ask your question or post your comments or send me a private message if they don't go through because of the system. And we're happy to pick them up, of course. So I'm just checking, and a few comments will for sure come in. Let me ask you another question, a little bit coming back to the remote aspect of companies. So if we continue working remotely, we have that remote or mystery coffees, but I do know that you also have on the webpage a section called Mystery Brainstorm, isn't it?
Yeah, we have the section, exactly. Which is also one of our solutions that we're offering to bringing together the right people. And for the mystery brain, it's for having new ideas and sharing ideas, creating ideas together. And the idea is pretty simple. We are matching people from different divisions who are very diverse. So who are also diverse in the way of thinking, bringing them together and having them to work on a detailed problem. Could be a feedback to a product, could be a first draft of a design thinking step, could be just a brainstorming session. Depends a little bit on how you want to use this creative potential. But the idea is to bring together 5 to 6 people, very different, very diverse, and having them speaking about a special problem or brainstorming a solution. which is amazing. I always see when I'm speaking to people who are very different, you get just from the combination of expressing your ideas and then having another person joining in, you get so many new ideas and you get so many new thoughts. So we absolutely believe it's there's a full potential to bring together different people from different backgrounds and using this diversity bonus.
Yeah, so totally a huge benefit is if we have the diversity in our organization. So also here the connection between diversity and silos and creativity and innovation at the end. If we talk about diversity, maybe I think I'm going to close up with the diversity and culture aspect here again. So if we think about diversity in our organizations, what are the organizations commenting to you? What is the biggest silo always? Oh dear God, do you hear the cock in my background? I'm in a farm now. Yeah, right. And I don't know. I think I need to do something by the end of the week. He's shouting the whole day. I swear, it's not only in the morning. He goes through the whole day. Anyways.
Should have some lunch.
Oh, dear God. So, when it comes to silos and diversity, what is the biggest silo aspect? Is it a diversity category that is a silo? What is it?
I think even there's an expression of information silos. And I think at today's organizations, many times you have information and the information belongs to a division. And they are even trying to protect that others are getting access to the information. This is with an own share drive. It's sometimes password protected. You only have access to certain files because you don't want other divisions to get those information. And I think this is very crazy nowadays because we should have access to all the information. You should even have access to details of different division if it makes sense that you understand the data. But why do we protect data? And why do we we are owners of data? We are owners of information. And it's very hard to get sometimes the right information in organizations. People send emails trying to get these informations, but it's like this protection. I think this kind of way. We also have the example. I had that in a company I worked for. We had already a result of a presentation, but the boss was saying, no, let's wait what the other department is doing. So let's wait what they are coming up with, and then we show our results. And those kind of things, I think it's like stupid games that we have to stop if we want to be a successful organization in the future. And I believe in an open information culture where we access information. So to answer your question, I think that's a very important silo apart from diversity.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Christoph. And that also brings me back a little bit to power structures. Power is very often related to hierarchies, hierarchical organizations or hierarchical cultures definitely are very often fostering silo thinking or silo creation within their organizations. So with this call to action, don't miss to connect with Christoph, follow Mysteryminds on, go to the webpage. There is also a blog article they wrote recently. It was about silos and swarm intelligence and silo thinking and swarm intelligence. So have a read through that, connect with Christoph and follow Mysteryminds. And it was a pleasure having you with us here, Christoph. Thank you so much. You know that I prepared sort of a virtual cocktail in the backstage. I'm coming immediately. But at this point, a big thank you for being with us here, for sharing your expertise. It was great talking to you. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Barbara. It was really a pleasure speaking to you, and enjoy the time in Spain.
I do. Thank you so much, Christoph. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your comments and for your questions and for leaving us also your feedback here. So don't miss to go to my webpage. Also stay updated by subscribing to our newsletter. I have all my LinkedIn live shows planned until mid of December, and very soon there's going to be one mailing with all the dates and all the topics, but you can also find them already on the webpage of Virtual Space Hero Productions if you want to have a look there now. And with this, I'm going to say goodbye. I'm going to have sort of a virtual cocktail with Christoph now. And I hope to see you next Friday for a next Virtual Space Hero LinkedIn Live. It was a tremendous pleasure. Thanks for your contributions and see you very soon. Bye.